I'd like to call the Niagara Police Services Board meeting to order. I'm Bill Steele, and I am Chair of the Niagara Regional Police Services Board. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it is critically important that the board continues with its governance and oversight work. Since April of 2020, the board has held its monthly meetings virtually. Today, we are joining by Zoom, and we'll continue with this practice until we can safely resume our in-person meetings at headquarters. I want to take a moment to thank Chief Mccullough, his executive leadership team, and the uniform and civilian members of the Niagara Regional Police Service who have been working diligently and at times under difficult circumstances. I also want to thank everyone for joining us today, Niagara Region residents, members of the media, Niagara Regional Police staff who are watching online. Thank you for your support and staying connected. With that said, I'm going to proceed with today's agenda. Although this meeting is taking place online, we acknowledge the land we are on as we hold this meeting. It is the traditional territory of First Nations peoples. In particular, we recognize and thank the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples for their stewardship of these lands over the millennia. We also recognize the contribution of Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous people, both in shaping and strengthening this region in particular, and our province and our country as a whole. I will go on to roll call, just say here when I call your name. Member D'Angela?
Here.
Member Eek?
Here.
Member Gale?
Here.
Member Gibson?
Here.
Member Lawson?
Here.
And Member Kendrick has sent her regrets today. Are there any declarations of conflict of pecuniary interest in this meeting? Seeing none. I have the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, January the 28th, moved by members Gale and Gibson, that the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, January 20th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Any questions on this one? All those in favor, raise your hand. That's carried. We have the minutes of the Public Finance Committee meeting held Thursday, February 11th, 2021, moved by members D'Angela and Lawson, that the minutes of the Public Finance Committee meeting held Thursday, February 11th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Any questions on this one? All in favor, raise your hand. That's carried. Item 4 is reports from the board chair. On February 23rd, Vice Chair Eek participated in the virtual Joint Region and Police Facilities Steering Committee meeting. There is a full report on today's agenda outlining the process made for the One District St. Catharines facility, the headquarters parking lot expansion, and the 911 communications backup center. The next meeting is scheduled for March 23rd, and further updates will be provided as the project advances. Member Eek, do you want to give us an overview of what you have?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And with respect to the February 23rd meeting that was just held this past Tuesday, I can give you a brief highlight of the items that were discussed. First, regarding the new One District project, the municipal occupancy has been approved. Substantial approval is being finalized with Stantec for February the 26th. Building insurance is in place. Security guard, all cameras and access controls are in place. Enbridge Gas is to complete the necessary installations for the backup generator during the week of March the 12th. All furniture equipment is in place. Electronic equipment is to be installed during the week of March the 12th. Exercise equipment from 68 Church is to be moved to the new facility either on March the 10th or March the 11th. The budget is on target with 97% completion, and there's been 93 work orders that have been issued. Now, with respect to a move-in date, this is dependent upon a couple just finishing items to complete this project. And what has been scheduled for the move is either March the 18th or March the 25th. At this meeting, Superintendent Richard Frayne highlighted that the NRP has a detailed plan that has been submitted and is in place, similar to that used when two districts moved into their new facilities. So we're assured that this transition will move smoothly, and it will be a one-day move for completion. And once the 68 church is vacated, that facility will have perimeter fencing installed, and the building will be secured, the doors and the windows, and after that move out is completed. With respect to our parking lot extension at headquarters, the facility is currently in use. The only outstanding issue there with the surface is that a final asphalt surface will be completed in the spring. We spoke at our last meeting about a concern and issue raised by myself and the chief associated with lighting for that extension. And I'm pleased to report that that has moved forward as well. There will be low lighting density equipment installed on 2 of the poles that are out in the parking area. And we are pleased that the installation of this lighting will have no impact with respect to Ontario Hydro and their overhead power lines. So that was a question, a concern that has diminished now. There's no problem. With respect to 911 backup facilities that are being implemented in the Welland Station, District 3, they will all be completed next week. So, Mr. Chair, I'm pleased to report that things are in effect to hopefully make a very smooth transition, and the facilities will function and be proud for our region. So that completes my update. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And as mentioned earlier, there is a report 7.2 that questions can be asked on the St. Catherine Station. On February the 17th, board members participated in the Ontario Association of Police Services Board's Zone 4 virtual meeting that was hosted by the Halton Police Services. The Zone 4 meetings are held quarterly and is represented by a total of 14 police services boards comprised of municipal, OPP, and First Nations police boards that are located within the Zone 4 area in Ontario. The meetings provide a forum for information sharing and discussions on key issues that have province-wide implications for policing. The next meeting will take place during the OAPSB Spring Virtual Conference being held from May the 26th to the 28th of this year. Further details will be provided to the board members as we get closer to that date. On March 1st to March 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 2:30, board members, the board solicitor, and senior police staff will participate in the Police Association of Ontario Annual Conference on Police Labor Relations. Conference participants will include Police Association executives, police service boards, chiefs, and managers from across Ontario, and discussions will relate to the latest trends in emerging workplace issues. Participants can expect to hear comprehensive updates on crucial issues in the police employment world from the perspectives of associations, management, and expert speakers. And then on March the 11th at 9:30 a.m., the Nrp Service and Canadian Mental Health Association will provide an information session workshop to the Police Services Board about the Mobile Crisis Rapid Response Team program, which will also include reference to the NRPS Crisis Outreach and Support Team and the Crisis Hub. The presentation will be provided by CMHA Representative Kelly Falconer, Manager, and Brandy Sand, Clinical Supervisor. And further details and a copy of the presentation will be provided closer to this date. The CAPG hosts monthly webinars as part of its educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently impacting the policing community. A webinar focusing on effective evaluation of police leadership was held February 2nd, and an upcoming webinar with the Ontario's first Inspector General of Policing is scheduled for March the 11th at noon. Connection details will be provided closer to the webinar date. The Ontario Association of Police Services Boards recently announced that they will be holding their 2021 Spring Conference as a virtual event from May the 27th to 29th of this year. The program will be released in the coming weeks and will feature guest speakers, educational sessions, board training, and provide important legislative updates. Board members are encouraged to review the agenda program and confirm their participation with board staff by March the 31st for the early bird registration. And our upcoming service board meetings, there are no committee meetings scheduled in March, And the next board meeting will be held Thursday, March the 25th, starting at 9 a.m. And the board meeting will be held by electronic participation through Zoom. That is the end of my report. Any questions? Thank you, board. We'll move on to the reports from Chief Mccullough. Chief?
Good morning, Chair Steele, board members, Ms. Reed. You'll notice this morning that my verbal report will be quite a bit shorter this morning. Previously, I've reported to the board with respect to our ongoing response to the COVID-19 pandemic. In order to streamline the process, moving forward, a monthly report will be included within the consent agenda, which will highlight the same information, but in a written format rather than a verbal format. So with regard to our 2021 homicide and attempt homicide statistics, during the reporting period of January 27th to February 23rd, there were no homicides or no attempt homicides. Year to date, we have 2 homicides and 0 attempt homicides. Comparatively, in 2020, we had 5 homicides, 3 attempts. 2019, we had 7 homicides and 2 attempts. In 2018, 2 homicides and 7 attempts. And in 2017, we had 3 homicides and 3 attempts. Just with respect to our traffic fatality and serious motor vehicle collisions for the month of January, there was 1 fatal motor vehicle collision and 1 life-threatening injury motor vehicle collision during the month of January. I'll provide some further details in a few moments. Just with regards to our current statistics, we are currently sitting at 1 fatal collision thus far this year. Comparatively, we had 16 for all of last year, 13 for all of 2019, 13 again in 2018, and 16 in each of 2017 and 2016. So trending favorably at this point in time. Some details regarding the fatal motor vehicle collision. On Friday, January the 22nd, our officers responded to a report of a single motor vehicle collision on Ridge Road near Dones Ridge Road in Welland. Investigation determined that a 25-year-old male and sole occupant of a vehicle left the roadway at a high rate of speed. The vehicle left the roadway, struck a hydro pole. The male was pronounced deceased at the scene, and investigation continues by our collision reconstruction unit. With regards to the serious injury motor vehicle collision, on Thursday, January 7th, officers responded to a report of a pedestrian that was struck by a motor vehicle on Queenston Street near Woodburn Avenue in St. Catharines. Investigation determined that an 89-year-old female pedestrian was crossing Queenston Street when she was struck by a passing motor vehicle, which failed to remain at the scene. The victim's injuries were initially believed to be life-threatening, but have since been downgraded and the victim continues to recover. The suspect vehicle in this matter is still being sought, and the investigation continues by the collision reconstruction unit. Some items in the news. On February 4th, the Human Trafficking Unit, with the assistance of our cybercrime and child abuse units, Uniform Patrol, and our district detectives, commenced an investigation into human trafficking. As a result of that investigation, detectives were able to identify a male and female suspect who were both arrested and charged with numerous offenses, including sexual assault, forcible confinement, and trafficking in persons under 18 years of age. Just with regards to a seizure of fentanyl, which was the largest in the history of our service. Since January, members of our major drug and gang unit, with the assistance of our intelligence unit, have been investigating the sale of illegal drugs. As a result of the investigation, detectives were able to identify a male suspect, On February 4th, the suspect was the subject of a traffic stop by the Ontario Provincial Police for allegedly stunting at a speed of 160 kilometers an hour in a 100 kilometer per hour zone on the QEW in the town of Lincoln. A subsequent search of the vehicle resulted in the discovery of 1,025 fentanyl tablets, 25 grams of cocaine, and $1,400 in currency. Detectives with our major drug and gang unit executed search warrants at residences in St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, and Lincoln. A search of a Niagara Falls residence resulted in the discovery of a massive fentanyl pill production operation. The double car garage of the residence had been extensively modified to accommodate an industrial sized pill press. Due to the quantity of fentanyl and related materials that were present, the OPP's clandestine lab investigation response team was requested to assist with the safe dismantling of the site. Detectives seized over 180 kilograms of an unknown powder, 100 kilograms of cutting agents, 20,000 fentanyl pills, 160 grams of cocaine, and $150,000 in equipment. In all, the estimated street value of the drugs seized is approximately $3.6 million, which is the largest seizure of fentanyl in Niagara history. The pills were packaged in bottles intended to look like legitimate prescription medications and posed a significant threat of serious harm or death to our community. A St. Catharines male was arrested and charged with numerous drug-related offenses. I'm immensely proud of the collaborative policing effort that's resulted in the substantial removal of these illicit and deadly drugs from the streets of Niagara. The health and safety of our community and the residents remains a top priority, and the criminal activities such as this will simply not be allowed to flourish in Niagara. Some information regarding a shooting in Welland. On February the 15th, uniform officers were called to a home in Welland in response to a shooting. Investigation revealed that two males in their 20s had been involved in an altercation in which one of them allegedly shot the other. The victim sustained minor physical injuries as a result of the shooting. The suspect fled prior to police arrival, but was arrested a short time later and has been charged with assault with a weapon. Investigation has revealed that this was a targeted incident. On February the 17th at 11:50 a.m., uniform officers, our emergency task unit, canine crisis negotiators attended Queenston Street home in St. Catharines in response to an armed and barricaded person call for service. Investigation revealed that a male had approached his neighbor in a multi-unit complex about his mail allegedly being stolen. As a result, the male suspect allegedly produced a gun and waved it at another male. Officers immediately contained the residence and evacuated people in the area. At approximately 3:40 p.m., officers executed a warrant arresting the suspect, who is now facing charges including theft of mail and pointing a firearm. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions to the Chief's report? Not seeing any, but as you've indicated about the large fentanyl bust, I'm sure on behalf of all the board, we are very proud of our service in this bust. And I sent you out a text quite quickly when I got the information through our department, and we do appreciate everyone's hard work on this case. Thank you. So moving along, presentations, there are none. So we're going to move right into item 7, the consent agenda. But before I ask board members if they have any questions about specific reports, we would like to go to item 7.8, the annual report on accessibility standards. Today we're joined by Steve Murphy. There's Steve right there, Accessibility Advisory Coordinator from the Niagara region. He's joining our meeting, and he is a valuable resource to both the board and police service to ensure we meet our compliance requirements with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, or the AODA. Board and service also participates as part of the Niagara Region's accessibility plan. And we would want to give Steve an opportunity to provide a brief overview of these requirements to supplement the service report, as we always welcome his input and expertise in these areas. Steve, welcome. And if I can let you go on this one, and then I'll go to board members for questions.
Absolutely. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you. As a whole, the Niagara Region's compliance with the AODA is doing very well. Is it perfect? No, just because there's one little issue that the entire province, the municipalities, healthcare, school boards, and the actual accessibility directorate themselves are having one problem with the compliance with the information and communications standard regarding accessible electronic documents. After speaking to the people at the province, we're good. They recognize that we have a plan in place. We have training coming. We are putting together how-tos as far as the different types of software that have to be reformatted, whether that's a Word document or things on eScribe. So we have it under control as far as we see it moving ahead. We're fine with it. As far as the customer service, the employment, the transportation, and the public spaces, we are well on our way. There's nothing there that I would have any concern with, and if I had, I would bring it to you people. We're fine. It is the information and communication standard, and we are on it. Our CAO's office is on it. Our communications people are on it, and they are interacting with the members of the Niagara Regional Police Services weekly as far as providing resources, providing tips, and being the age I am, a lot of these things, to me, it's like another language. And I'm not sure if anybody else is in that same boat, but when people speak about computer acronyms, I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. We have the right people in place is what my point is with that. We have people from the IT department, we have people from communications. We're well on our way to being fine with this. So just to put at ease the minds of everyone here, we are good with that. And as I said, the other four standards are not an issue at all. In the majority of them, we have not only met the compliance level, which is the minimal level, we are exceeding our minimal compliance, the other standards, and we are well on our way here also. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. And I think I'm in the same boat as you on some of these acronyms and how some of this technology does work. So
thank goodness.
Does anybody have any questions on this report for Steve? Okay. So we will, oh, sorry, Member D'Angelo.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank Steve. I see him all the time on different boards, and he's one of the most knowledgeable and experienced individuals. So when you speak, I trust what you say, and I know you bring great value to everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Member D'Angelo. Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay, so we will be moving everything in block once we go through these. So again, Steve, thank you very much. And I really really appreciate your work with the police service.
Thank you. I'll leave you to your meetings. Stay healthy.
You too. Okay, so we have items 7.1 all the way through to 7.21. Questions on these? I'm just going to go through. I'm going to go through my list, or the way you guys are on my screen. So I'm going to start with Member Gibson, and I'll move on from there if you have any questions. You want to bring up first one, Member Gibson?
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the Chief. I go to 7.6 on page 2. I have a bookmark there. And it's just, I think I know the answer, but some people may question, and just to be accurate, in authorized strength versus actual, I see there's 29 staff sergeants authorized, but we have 30. I see we have 110 sergeants authorized, but we have 112. And I was just wondering if you could speak. I'm guessing it's promotions probably and vacancies, but if you could speak to that, please, that would be appreciated.
Chief?
Through you, Chair, thank you for the question. With regards to the staff sergeant, our count includes one staff sergeant who's been out of the workplace long-term for over a year. Although the likelihood of return remains in question, the staff sergeant returns. If the staff sergeant returns to the service, we will delay a promotion to even out the numbers. So the reality is we'd be paying somebody an acting sergeant wage regardless. So it isn't a promotion, as you discussed, to offset that one staff sergeant position. With regards to the sergeant, the service restructured at the end of 2020, and thereby eliminating 4 sergeants positions, but at the same time creating two new sergeant positions. The net of +2 sergeants will be resolved through attrition, and will not be promoting to sergeant when members retire or themselves promoted. So it will offset itself likely in short order within this year.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay, any further questions on item 7.6? Okay, anything else, Kevin?
No, that's good, thank you.
Okay, Member Lawson?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Member Eek? Oh, take your mute off.
Thanks, Member Chair. No further comments.
Okay. But does it like, okay. So just on further items, that's really what I'm asking. So I don't think Kevin has any further items to bring up. So I'll just, or does Member Gibson?
I had another one bookmarked, but I think I have to find it first. So
okay, we can come back.
So
Member Lawson, not particular on this item, but on any other items. Was there anything you wanted to bring forward?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Member Eek, is there any other items you want to bring forward?
No, none
Okay.
from mine.
Okay, Member Gale?
Chair, the reason Member Eek didn't take it off mute was because he's got that ferocious guard dog we hear every now and then in the background.
Yeah.
Chair, I sent a text to the chief and Deb about a specific item on here that I think should be confidential, but I said to them, I will bring it up in new business in confidential. I don't want to expose the item because that'll defeat what I'm talking about. So I'll just let you know. Thank you.
Okay. You have no other items then? You're set? Okay. Member D'Angela?
Yes, Chair. Just item 7.12. It's the annual report, drug investigations. And I know we just had this large investigation with the fentanyl, and the product was confiscated. Just a general question. How does the NRP dispose of these drugs that are confiscated? Maybe if the chief, through you, Chair, can just explain that a little bit.
Thank you, Member. Chief.
Through you, Chair, thank you for the question. I'm going to refer to Deputy Flynn if he can provide some details on the destruction process.
Okay, Deputy.
Thank you, Chief. So it's been a number of years since I was actually in the unit and doing this type of work. I see Superintendent Ash is also on, so I can go to him as a backup if I technically don't get all of the pieces right. But historically, what we've done is that, especially in situations where we've had a significant seizure, really at the end of the day, all we want to have to retain is samples of the product that have been seized. So we will do a sampling of those products into Health Canada bags for examination and for confirmation that what we have seized is contrary to the schedules of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. And then after that, there would be a process to ensure the destruction of the rest of the product that's been seized. There's no reason to hold it for a court process. It's not safe. It's not something that we would want to keep in our possession. And that is the typical process. I'll look to Superintendent Ash if he doesn't unmute, and I did a good job on that answer.
Okay. Superintendent Ash, anything to add?
Just for your awareness, Chair, I think he was having some troubles with his audio. I see he came on and went back off again.
Okay. Member D'Angelo, does that answer your question from the deputy?
Yeah, that's perfect. Just
Okay.
for the general public, knowing that it's disposed of as quickly as possible, maintaining the samples for court purposes. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Member Gibson.
Thank you, Chair, through you, and to the Chief again. It's a 7.16 is the report, page 3. Incidents led by Major Incident Commander. Significant change there in numbers from 2018 at 36 to 2020 at 82. It's partially explained above, but I'm just curious, a little more specifics on that, Chief, if possible, to show how that's increased so much. And obviously, I think the effectiveness of that is probably paying off immensely, but just a little more detail would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief?
Absolutely. Through you, Chair. Thanks for the question. And really, it's about enhancing our approach for officer safety. And we've seen a prevalence of drug investigations where suspects have been armed with firearms. And so we're taking a much more informed and cautious approach to ensure that when our officers are responding to these types of investigations and where there's search warrants involved in these investigations, if we have any information or any inkling whatsoever that there are firearms or potential for violence, we're involving a major incident commander, and we're having our tactical unit to assist in the execution of the search warrant, strictly from an officer safety perspective. It's about risk management, and this approach has worked very well for us. We've not had any of our officers injured, and it's again all about enhancing the safety of these types of investigations.
Okay, thank you, Chief. That's provides all the answer I need there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Gibson. Any further questions on any of these items? Okay, so we have consent items 7.1 through to 7.21, moved by members Gibson and member Eek, that the information be received. All in favor, raise a hand. That's carried. Thank you. We are now on to new business, item 8. Our first item is 8.1, the PSB Nrps 2022-2025 strategic plan, moved by members Lawson and D'Angelo, that the board approve the commencement of the development of the 2022-2025 strategic plan as outlined in the report, and further that the board appoint a board member to serve as co-chair of the strategic plan working committee. Before I go to see who volunteers, questions, Member Gale. Oh, okay. Any questions?
No, I have a question. That's what I have.
Yeah, no,
And
no.
this is just, I'm sorry?
We'll take,
No, don't go there. Thank you.
we'll take those after your question.
Okay. All the items to Deb, all the items in new business say carried. Is that premature, Deb, or is that just in there? On my computer, they all say carried.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can't see on
my
the
e-scribe.
screen. Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Okay, no problem.
At this point, yeah.
No problem. I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and it's every item. So, okay, thanks.
I didn't see that. Okay. Any further questions on item 8.1? So now we're looking for a volunteer. Does somebody want to volunteer to be the co-chair of the Strategic Planning Working Committee? Member Gibson.
A question, how much time is involved in that? Is it extensive amount of time or?
Deb, who's best to answer that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is a joint committee with the service. So maybe I'll just turn it to the service. I know that there are regular meetings that are scheduled throughout the process, but I think
okay.
I'll have to turn it to the
Chief.
service.
Through you, Chair, I'm going to turn to Deputy Forty, who chairs it from the service perspective, and he can provide some insights.
Okay, Deputy.
Thank you, Chief, and through you, Mr. Chair. I don't think the commitment would be too onerous for Member Gibson. I think that what we anticipate doing is a number of consultative meetings with key stakeholders. That's what we did last time. And then rather than doing a broad public survey, we're using emerging technologies or we're proposing that we use emerging technologies to do that. Once we've got that feedback from our key stakeholders and from inside our organization and then outside the organization, we'll come together to try to nail down our targets and our measures for the next 4 years. So I don't know that it would be tremendously invasive, and it'll be done remotely, as you can imagine, given our current situation. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting here, and then bring it in partnership with the co-chair, and then ultimately bring it back to the board for approval.
Okay, well, I'll submit my name as a volunteer for that.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw their name in? Seeing none?
Nobody else is.
That's okay. So are there any further questions to the report itself? Okay, so seeing none, on the second portion, it'll say, and further that the board appoint Member Gibson to serve as co-chair of the Strategic Plan Working Committee. Seeing no more questions, all in favor? Get your hands up quickly. That's good.
I changed my mind.
Yeah, too late now. Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Item 8.2, the special fund request 2020 United Way in-house campaign, moved by members Lawson and Eek, that the board approve a special fund donation in the amount of $2,000 to support the 2020 United Way in-house donation campaign. Any questions to this report? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Member Gibson.
Just as I always like to say, the special fund for the viewers out there is not your tax dollars. It's monies raised from other activities by Nrps, sale of bicycles, all that sort of thing. So it's not your tax dollars. Just I'd like to make that point.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gibson. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor, raise a hand. That's carried. Item 8.3, the Police Services Board 2021 Committee Representation, moved by members Gale and Gibson, that the board approves the committee mandate as outlined in this report and confirm its committee membership for 2021. Any questions? All in favor, raise a hand. That's carried. Item 8.4, the Police Services Board bylaw update to Nrps schedule of fees and charges, moved by members Eek and D'Angela, that the board approve revised bylaw 389-2021, a bylaw to provide for the imposition of charges for police services as appended to the report and authorize the board chair to execute the required documentation. And further, that bylaw 389-2021 be forwarded to the regional council for approval. Any questions on this one?
Yes, Mr.
David?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think the report, as you read it, indicated that there was an update to the schedule of fees and charges as outlined in the report, and I don't see that report on my e-scribe. I was curious as to maybe I've missed it or I'm not approaching it properly, but I would expect that we could at least see if there were any changes and what those changes might be accordingly.
Yeah, you're correct. Deb?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, this report should have been appended to the bylaw that you're asked to approve, but it did go before the board at the January 28th meeting. And it was a service report, and they wanted to create a fee for officer notes and witness statements in relation to motor vehicle collision reports. And they also wanted to remove the false alarm attendance fees. So those were the two changes that were made to the schedule. The false alarm attendance fees were removed, so you no longer see those. And then you'll see two line items there under the collision reconstruction section. And it will have the additional fees that have been added now for officer notes and witness statements. So I hope that helps.
David?
Thank you for the explanation. In listening to the response, the only question I would have is the waiving of fees. I don't know whether it's attendance to perhaps a home alarm system going off, or am I misreading what was indicated? It was a removal of a fee associated with attendance or something. What was that?
Oh, Deb, take your mute off.
Right. Through you, Mr. Chair. It was for police attendance at false alarms, and it was removed as the service no longer applies false alarm fees. So that's why.
And so my question would be, would that false alarm fees be associated with residents' home alarm systems? Is that they no longer would have to pay? If I know there used to be a first time attendance, no charge, and then as people set off false alarms, that they would be penalized for their inaction on maintaining their home alarm system. So that would have brought out policing and taken up time and valuable dollars associated. So is that what is now being waived?
Chief?
Through you, Chair. You recall probably about 2 years ago now, we brought a report forward to the board and had changed our policy with regards to the response to alarms. I don't have the statistic off the top of my head, but it was quite an alarming number in the neighborhood of around 98% of all of the alarm calls that we were responding to were false alarms. So we've completely changed our policy in alignment with what other police services were doing. And we've put the onus back onto the alarm companies to really police themselves. And so there are fees that are being charged to the homeowner by the alarm company. We're no longer doing it. And as a result, we're no longer responding to a vast majority of false alarms as well.
Thank you, Chief. I would agree with those statements and would support that for sure. So with respect to the attached reports, as explained, I can support the approval of item 8.4.
Just to clarify, if I could, we still respond to verified alarms. So again, I don't want to alarm the public that we're not going to respond to a verified alarm that's going off at a residence or at a business. It's the unverified alarms that we're no longer responding to.
Member Gale?
Chief, I believe this came up when I was chair before this board came in, and the conversation was that there had to be two type items for us to respond to an alarm. And maybe that wording is wrong. I give an example: a person seeing a person breaking in, an alarm going, or a glass being broken and an alarm going, or something like that. It couldn't just be a false alarm at the time. And we had a lot of pushback when the conversation started that we're not responding to alarms. And you corrected that by saying we do respond to alarms, but you were going back at the alarm companies. We didn't want to go after the residents and the businesses as much as the alarm companies on that. Correct me for what I said if I said it wrong, Chief.
Chief?
Through you, Chair, you're correct, and that's essentially. I mean, there's a number of different criteria, but essentially, we know that there's often a sensor that will go off on an exterior door, as an example. It required a secondary triggering, a motion detector, a glass break, or something else. Cooperation from homeowner, cooperation from somebody in the neighborhood, that type of thing that enabled us to respond to those types of scenarios. And it's worked out very effectively for us and reduced considerable unnecessary workload.
Okay, Member Gale? He's all set. Okay, any further questions? All in favor, raise a hand. That's carried. Other new business, Member Gale. Not here. You don't want to bring it up in this one?
And confidential, if you don't mind. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So we have three reports under in-camera reports, and these are for public release. These are from January 28th, 2021 confidential meeting. I'll move them in block, but they are item 10.1, Special Investigations Unit Case 19-OCI-289. Item 10.2 is Special Investigations Unit Case number 20-OCI-115. And 10.3 Special Investigations Unit Case number 20-OCI-145. All have members Gale and Lawson move that in accordance with the board direction, the above noted in-camera reports be received for public information. Any questions on any of those reports? Seeing none, all in favor, raise a hand. That's carried. That comes to the end of our meeting. I'll adjourn this portion, and it's we'll meet at 10 o'clock, right, Deb? For our next one. Okay, so I'll see you guys back here at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.